welcome back to the North American Association of Cerebral Palsy Advocates Chatline. My name is Caleb Wells, the founder and chairman of the North American Association of Cerebral Palsy Advocates, and I am joined as always by my good friend and Vice President Tanner Lynn.
Hi, I'm back again.
And today we're also joined by Miracle Clark, who has been a member of our group since November of 2020. So I'm going to have Miracle introduce herself here, and then we'll get into the episode.
Hi, my name is Miracle, like he already said, and I'm from Murray, Kentucky, and I have spastic quadriplegia, cerebral palsy.
Awesome. I love when we have spastic quads on the show. It makes us not feel so dumb.
Hey,
No.
the quad squad.
Right. We're going to put a hashtag down there. You can click on that and they'll
Hashtag quad squad. Yes, I've been
Um,
trying to get that one to take off for a minute.
Yeah, we need to. So, as always, thank you for joining us wherever you are, however you may be joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell like you're Brandon Davies. You have consent. So, we'll go ahead and get started. Miracle, I first want to ask you the question we ask everybody who comes on the show. How did you come across the North American Association of Cerebral Palsy Advocates, and how has it impacted your life?
Okay, so let me take you through the grand year of 2020. In March of 2020, I actually dropped out of school because everything had switched to online and I don't learn that way. Plus, I was dealing with a lot of mental health issues that kind of stem from my disability, and I didn't know how to handle it. And I got really lonely, and I got on Facebook one day and I just typed in cerebral palsy support group, and a bunch of them showed up, and I just joined all of them. Since then, I'm only in two of them. This one and Megan Patton's group, Stuck in the Middle. The other
Link in
was annoying,
description.
so I left. But the reason I didn't interact with this group initially is because I'm a very shy person, and I've never been very good at like initiating or maintaining friendships or any kind of relationships. I guess I spaz out in more ways than one. So when I finally did join this group, I realized, wow, these people, they really get it. Like, they really understand what goes on through my head every day, and I can tell them anything, and I am safe, and they're not going to judge me because they think very similar to me. And so the more I felt that, the more I started opening up, and then now you guys are like my best friends. You're like my second family, my home away from home, and it's all thanks to, a Zoom chat, which is pretty cool because I did not like Zoom initially. So yeah, that's kind of how I got here.
That's awesome. And nobody likes Zoom, and I'm lived pretty much my entire life on Zoom. So here we are. Tanner and I live our entire lives on Zoom. We see each other every day, but we're not in the same room. So I guess the next question would be, what does your day-to-day routine look like? Like, what struggles do you have with cerebral palsy physically?
Okay, so I'm a spastic quad, and basically what that means is it affects my arm, my legs, and all the muscles throughout my body, really. And I'm one of those that cannot transfer themselves and that cannot walk short distances. So I'm pretty dependent on other people for completing, my daily essential task. For about 2 years, it'll be 2 years, July 15th, I've had a caregiver. Her name is Brittany. We've gotten really close. She helps me get out of bed in the morning. She helps get me dressed. She helps me take my showers, make my food. She comes to my appointments with me. She basically does anything I need her to do. It's like this is gonna sound bad, but it's almost like a secretary, but like extremely personal because obviously she's seen me naked, but can't get around that.
I
Sorry, I
no,
have very dark humor.
it comes with
But
the territory.
no, and when Brittany's not here, it leaves my mother and her fiance of about 8 years to kind of pick up the slack. I mean, I'm obviously very intelligent, so once I'm in my, electric power chair, I'm able to be more independent because my chair stands up and everything, but I haven't always had this. I just got this chair in April, so I'm still learning what more independence for myself looks like. And I'm slowly getting better a little every day, but I mean, it takes time. Eh, And, I have to be really patient with myself. And patience is not my strong suit.
Can can you talk a little bit about that learning curve with, the new chair and trying to like figure out your own independence?
Well, before I had a standard power chair that, it obviously had the tilt so I can relieve pressure and make sure I'm not getting pressure sores from the fact that I basically have to sit down for at least 18 hours every day because I'm in my chair from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed at night, usually. And, you got to be able to readjust and everything. But now that my chair can stand, it's really opened a lot of opportunities for me. Like I have a fridge in my room and I'm able to stand up in my chair uh long enough for me to get something out of my fridge, or I'm able to go to the disability resource center in my town and use the standing feature while I'm learning how to cook. It's very useful for when I'm doing things on the stove. Um, and it's also just very useful as daily exercise and like weight management and like strength building. Now, I still can't stand up for very long periods of time, but I do it for short periods of time several times a day. So I think it balances out. Um, you know, One thing about CP is you have to worry about your spasticity and your body stiffness, and you get really sore and you ache from head to toe all over all day long if you're not able to stretch your body, if you're not able to move from one position to another. It You can be very miserable. So I'm very, very thankful
Mm.
that I have this chair, even though it's not perfect. There's adjustments that have to be made on it because they did my initial measurements wrong. So, for example, I can't eat at my dinner table in this chair without putting a pillow behind my back because I can't, like, I have no back support, nothing to push me forward to help me lean over my plate. So I'm dealing with that, but they should be doing the assessment for like the new equipment and everything March 31st. They're actually coming out to my physical therapy clinic and just meeting me there, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about getting me a new patient lift because that's how my aide or my caregiver, whatever you want to call her, transfers me because I'm basically a deadlift, and she puts the sling under me and hooks it up and moves me from surface to surface. I mean, some things are really awkward, and I've had to swallow my pride on things. Like, for example, when she's working, I have to use a bedside potty because the patient lift can't get in my bathroom since we don't have a handicap accessible home. So, and then when my parents do it, they do it completely different. They don't take the time to use the lift because they're impatient and always on the go. So it's just easier for them to, pick me up and lift me on the toilet, even though puts a little wear and tear on their body. Well, more than a little, to be honest. But that's how they prefer to do it. But all in all, I've gotten to a point where I'm content with myself for the most part and how I have to go about living my daily life. But that could not have been said back in 2020 when I initially joined this group. So I've came a long way.
That's awesome. Tanner, did you have a question?
What advice would you give somebody that's looking at joining this group, maybe in the future, or has looked at it before and has come back to it?
My advice for somebody that joins this group would be, don't assume that it's like all the other CP groups on Facebook that you've already joined, because it's not. We're definitely not traditional, we're definitely not typical, and we're definitely not censored. So if you can't get down with that, then this probably isn't the group for you. Because we all have mouths like sailors, and we all, no topic is really off limits. And, my other biggest piece of advice would be, put yourself out there, actually reach out to group members and make those friendships, because they're definitely worth it. And they're not going to judge you, and they're not going to turn you away.
Awesome. So, and on that point as well, is we always mention that that's kind of how we got our start, was through Facebook, which it was just, again, as we've spoken on the show before, Tina, we talked that was kind of the easiest way to go about it. But it creates this kind of misconception that we'll post on the wall and somebody will come and comment and maybe strike up a conversation that way. We're very different than that.
Thank you.
We're very, very different than that. So we really focus on making that face-to-face connection a more, together community aspect to it. And I know, Tina, earlier today we were talking about how I kind of pulled you out of your shell out of necessity when you joined the group, and now that you're like right there as my right hand man, you really have to step up, and I'm super proud of you for doing that. And that's what I really want for all of our members, is to kind of come out of their shells and get to explore who they are as people and really start to humanize this, not just as
I like that word, humanize, because a lot of times my disability doesn't make me feel very human. Yeah. I've always felt very foreign, very out of place, very like I was a part of a world that was never prepared for me to be in it. So when I found this group, of course, I still feel that way, but I could be having a completely terrible day, falling apart, and then I come to a group meeting that's an hour, however long it is, and suddenly I feel better, because you guys remind me that I'm not alone on this journey, and that there are plenty of people that struggle with the same things that I struggle with, and that it's okay for me to struggle.
And then I guess the last question we have here for you is, what advice would you, if you could go back, 10 years in the past and say 3 words, like, don't overthink this. You could say 3 words to your former self and what those meant. What would you say?
3 words. Oh, goodness. Probably patience is key, because I've told you guys before, I'm not very patient. So it took me a really long time to get comfortable in my own skin, and not saying that the group is like, I had to put work in myself outside of this group long before this group to be comfortable in my own skin. But because I put in the work to do that, I feel like I've gotten that much more value out of being with you guys, because I feel like if y'all would have met me when I was 15 years old 10 years ago, we would not have vibed. I am not the same person I was back then. I was very withdrawn. I was very shy. I was very apologetic for just being alive and being a disabled individual. And I was coming home every day from school crying because I was sitting at lunch alone. Um so no, y'all probably wouldn't have liked me back then, but now that I've put in this work and that I've learned how to be patient with myself and I've learned to a certain degree how to accept myself in the moment when I'm still growing and learning, I feel like that's made my relationships with you guys that much more meaningful and vice versa.
Awesome. So, Tanner, unless you have something else to add, we can wrap this up. And
I don't have anything else. So
all right. Do you have just any last words, Miracle, that you would want to say? Well, you had the forum to do that.
Don't give up. Don't ever completely 100% give up, because things do get better eventually, even if the better comes very, very slowly.
Awesome. I love that. So
yes,
again, thank you for joining us. Miracle, thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. And
It was
uh,
my pleasure. Thank you guys.
thank you. And don't forget that we have our order forms for our sweatshirts, our t-shirts, and our hoodies in the description of this video. Those order forms will be up to the 11th of August. Again,
April.
like and subs. Oh,
11th
11th of April. Thank you. The 11th of April. So if you're watching this now, it'll be April 11th that those order forms will go out. And then again, like, subscribe. If you want to be a guest on the show, you can reach out to us. Our email is NAACPA, that's NAACPA chair, like a chair you sit in, CHIAR @gmail.com.
CHAIR, I think is
Oh,
what
I
you
can't even
said.
spell. I do that all the time. So like the chair you sit in, @gmail.com. And then I guess we'll see you in the next one. So thank you guys again for joining
Yeah,
us.
everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.